Hello and welcome to episode number 257 of the Launch Lounge podcast. Today I'm sharing the 3 biggest insights from my recent trip to Alt Summit that completely shifted my perspective on business, social media, and self-care. If you've been feeling isolated in your online business or questioning if in-person events are worth the investment, this episode is for you. I'm diving into why traveling to the US was one of my best business decisions I've made and how taking time for yourself isn't just nice, it's necessary. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone. It is so lovely for me to be hanging out with you today after I have come back from my trip to stunning, absolutely beautiful Palm Springs in California to attend Alt Summit or Altitude Summit as it is known. It was the first time in a long time that I have gone to the US for work, and I'm excited about what I am going to share with you today. But first, I just want to share with you some life updates. I cannot believe it is almost Easter. In my head, it's still December. Like I am still preparing for Christmas. I'm still getting ready for Christmas. We have had such a crazy quarter 1 in the Shellac family. We had my mum visit over Christmas, and as soon as she left, we went to Japan, which is all fantastic. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. It is all really good quality problems we have over here. We went to Japan for 3 weeks, came back, decided we want to look for a new and bigger house and found a rental that we loved. And literally we found out on the Thursday that we secured the rental and we moved the following Friday. So 8 days later, we moved. And we moved into a beautiful home next to the creek, knowing that Brisbane can get floods, and we were willing to risk it. And we were in the house for 3 days when they said Cyclone Alfred is making its way to Brisbane. And so then it was all hands on deck, prepping like preppers, packing sandbags and getting all of what my kids refer to as apocalypse food, which contains of plenty of chocolate, plenty of chips, plenty of Tim Tams, lots of beverages for mummy and daddy, and basically making sure all of our iPads are loaded with the latest shows that we're watching, and we can download things even if the Wi-Fi goes out, we can still watch, and having loads and loads of power packs loaded. So that was what my kids call apocalypse preparation. And then the cyclone hit. We were very, very lucky. We've only got a green pool. The rest of it is perfectly fine. And I know most people or a lot of people are not as lucky as we are. So I'm really grateful for that. And then we literally, the Monday morning, in between Sunday night and Monday morning, the cyclone hit us. And Tuesday morning, I flew out to the US. And when I got back, we've had some family friends stay with us for a while. So today is really the first day I am back in my office. It feels like the first day that I am having a normal work day this entire year. And I tell you all of this because I want to tell you that I know how incredibly lucky I am to have this, what I always refer to when I talk to you, a freedom empire, right? A business that allows me to flex, a business that allows me to be flexible around life, around my family, around other business needs like traveling, and just in general around making my life mine and being able to live the way that I want to. And so that is what has been happening in the Shellac household this year so far. It's been an absolute crazy ride, but I am very thankful that I get to be here and that I get to hang out with you. And I have just come back. I've literally gotten back last week, Wednesday, I was back. Today is Monday as I'm recording this. It should be about Tuesday or Wednesday when you listen to this. So this is not one of those episodes that I pre-record miles in advance. This one you're getting in real time, and I'm glad to be here recording, knowing that you're going to be listening and knowing that I get to share this with you. So thank you for hanging out with me today. Something that I have to share with you is that I almost didn't go to this conference. I nearly didn't go. After years of pandemic isolation and recovering from burnout, the idea of getting on a plane and traveling halfway around the world has felt really overwhelming to me. Once things opened up again, post the vid, uh, I've been putting off flying to the US. But something inside me knew that it was time to reconnect with people face to face. I had a hunger and a thirst for real human connection in the context of my business. I have a lot of real human connection with amazing friends that I have, with other parents, with my kids' friends, parents, with my husband. But I can honestly say that nobody, no adult in my real life that I can touch, that I can touch on a regular basis, understands what I do for a living. And it can be very isolating. But traveling to the US has been the best thing I have ever done for my business. When I started out, yonkers years ago, this is like 2013, 2014, I fully bought into the idea that building an online business meant everything was online and I wouldn't have to go anywhere. But the first time I walked into a conference with hundreds of other people doing what I do, understanding my challenges and wanting to connect and learn from each other. And also, and this is almost the most important thing, is seeing people in real life who are successful at it, not people posting in Facebook groups, not people um, presenting their best stuff for their marketing, right? No, real people really doing it and really being successful at it. That changed everything for me. And that was at the end of 2017. And after I went to that first conference, I signed up 4 clients for my ads agency. I came home and I quit my job. And the rest is history. And in 2018 and 2019, I worked very closely with both Rick Mulready and Amy Porterfield and attended every possible event I could to support their students, to work with them, to learn from them, to mastermind with them. And I traveled to San Diego in that time, 2018 and 2017, or 2018 and 2019. I traveled to San Diego 6 times each year. So if you work that out, that's roughly every 5 to 6 weeks I was in San Diego. And in 2018, I still lived in Perth, which means Perth is literally the most isolated city in the world. It's in Western Australia. So you always have to take a flight about 5 hours to get to the eastern side of the country, where you can then get a flight to the US. So Perth to San Diego was about a 30-hour door-to-door trip. When COVID hit, like everyone, I was afraid that the impact that it would have. That first few months, March, April 2020, was frightening. It was scary. But lucky for me, COVID had the opposite effect on my business. And in 2020 and 2021, those years ended up being the absolute best years for my business if success was measured in profit and revenue, right? Measured by profit and revenue, which is, by the way, the success measure of a business. My business was doing huge things, huge things. I never forget the first month we did $100,000 in one month. And then when it stayed at that, that stuff is life-changing. It's genuinely life-changing. But at the end of 2021, I was absolutely cooked. I was burnt out. My nervous system was wired to the max. So much so that I remember that time, and I remember feeling like I have voices in my head screaming at me the whole time. And I was running on anxiety every single day. And then 2022, 2023, those were hard years. I didn't have the emotional capacity or the energy to travel to conferences. I just couldn't bring myself to get up the energy to get back on the horse. And by horse, I mean plane. And then all of those iOS changes started happening, and the pixels started getting blind, and some of my clients started losing their funnels, which meant we lost clients, which meant a lot of people couldn't work with us anymore or couldn't afford to work with us anymore. There were, people were going back to work. Online marketing and online businesses and working from home suddenly wasn't the romantic option it was in 2020 and 2021. And then there was this sort of looming economic recession. So client numbers started to dwindle. Uh, and at that time, I was actually relieved that I could downgrade and scale back and do less. But it was hard because I still had a big team to support me and to support the business. And this it came at a very high cost. This scaling back, and at the end of 2023, I had to let 8 people go from my team. I only held on to the most essential members in my team, and I will tell you that I was traumatized by that. I was absolutely, and I'm sure I'm aware that I get to sit here and whinge to you about poor old me, the business owner who had to let people go, when there are real people being let go who have bigger problems than me. So please, I get the douche factor in my complaint. But nonetheless, for me at the time, it was traumatic. And I think if you ask any business owner, I know my husband has had to make people redundant in his job, where he's just an employee doing what his bosses tell him to do. And I think that's almost in a way even crueler than being a business owner and having to make that decision. But it was really, really hard for me and really traumatic. So in 2024, I called that my year of healing, my year of being. I was just being. I wasn't chasing anything. I wasn't putting any goals on anything. I knew that I had to re record some training. No massive goals, no targets, no chasing, no hustling, no rushing, which also meant no flying to the US. Just doing things that needed doing consistently to build things back in a sustainable manner. I asked myself, what do I need to do in the next 5 years so that in 5 years' time, I have even more energy and even more passion for this than I have right now. And I didn't have the answer. And maybe I still don't have the complete answer, but an answer is starting to form. But I had to just take it slowly and take it easy and be really kind to myself and be really gentle. And I committed to only working with 5 clients in the agency at that time. And that has been one of the best decisions I've made because I can give these clients my full attention and be fully present for them and give them the right marketing support that they need to turn their ads into really profitable funnels. So in 2024 is also when I brought back the podcast, which I love doing, and I'm doing it right here with you right now. And I committed to doing 2 episodes a week, which I have now been doing consistently since July 2024. So when I decided it was time to get back on the metal horse, the airplane, and hang out with some people IRL for a while, and that was a big decision. And what I knew I didn't want was big marketing conferences run by dudes, driven by scarcity and urgency, where you have to dodge sales pitches and end up distrusting every conversation because you're not really sure if this person you're talking to, networking with, connecting with right now is talking to you because there's a pitch coming or because they're just wanting to connect one human to one human. And then my dear friend Lucy, shout out to Lucy, suggested I apply to speak at Alt Summit. I'd never even heard of Alt Summit. What I didn't know is that Alt Summit is a bit of a cult classic, right? If you know what Alt Summit is, you know what it is. Like if you're like me and you don't know what it is, you get there and you're like, what on this earth is this thing? And why has it been kept from me for so long? But if you know what it is, I'm sure you also feel like it's a bit of a cult classic. It's one of those things that I'm sure if you love it a lot. I'm sure if you don't love it, it's something you probably don't love, because it's a very like there's no half baked opinions there. There's no half baked what they stand for. It's all very clear, and I love it. So apparently it's been around for about 15 years, and everybody in the craft and art space in the US probably knows about it or has been to it. So I applied to be a speaker, and I chose the topic how to skyrocket your Instagram engagement with a simple $5 a day ad as my topic. And on the last day, I presented this as a roundtable session, and I absolutely loved it. And the wonderful women who came to my table and sat down and shared their ads with me and shared their marketing with me and shared their strategies with me. Shout out to you all because you were awesome. And today I want to share with you the top 3 things that I took away from Alt Summit that I think will resonate deeply with you too. And these aren't just conference takeaways, they're life changing perspectives that might just transform how you approach your business and your life too. The first insight I gained is that sometimes ROI shouldn't be measured in revenue. Now, sometimes ROI shouldn't be measured in revenue. Now, I know you might be falling off your chair because you're hearing these words come out of my mouth, because I am the person who is always measuring ROI by how much profit did you make, how much revenue did you make. But that is in the context of ads, right? And in the context of business. Now, this is in the context of business, but when you are a business owner, you are emotionally involved in your business. And so, some things, when you decide beforehand, you can carry this cost, and you know that the ROI is not going to come back to you in profit or in revenue. That's okay. My mum asked me when I got back, she said, "So was your trip a profitable one?" And I said, "No, it was not profitable at all. It cost me an arm and a leg." I've got some breaking news for you. We've just finished recording the brand new 2025 edition of our free 5-day Facebook and Instagram ads training. If you've been feeling like social media is sucking the life out of you, or you're tired of spinning your wheels trying to build your list with little to show for it, this is for you. In this completely free 5-day video training, you'll discover exactly how much to spend on ads to make them work specifically for your business. I'll walk you through step by step how to set up ads that actually get results. Navigate the ads manager with confidence, even if Zucks keeps changing everything, and boost your email list signups instead of just boosting posts. The best part? You'll get lifetime access to all the updated strategies that are working right now in 2025. And you can revisit the training anytime you need a refresher. Ready to stop guessing and start growing your list with confidence? Join over 10,000 others who've taken this course now. Head over to thelaunchlounge.com/getmyAdUp or click the link in the show notes. Your future students are scrolling right now. Let's make sure they find you. And I'm the first person to tell you not to spend money on things where you cannot measure the return on your investment, right? I literally created our unique system, the most profitable customer journey, so that everyone who spends money on ads has a clear way to measure if that ad returned to them in revenue later. I firmly believe that a business that does not make money is a hobby. And that's okay if you want a hobby. But if you want a business and you run it like a hobby to avoid doing the things you have to do to make it a business, I'm gonna call you out on that, right? I'm gonna call you out on that. I like things to be real. I like things to be what they should be, or what pure, right? Pure. If we're building a business for profit, we've got to build it for profit, all right? But before I attended Alt Summit, I had to determine the cost of this, literally flights, hotels, meals, those practical things you pay for when you travel. But there was also an emotional cost that I had to calculate. Jet lag messes with my brain, which makes me eat more sugar, which messes with my hormones, which creates a perimenopause disaster with my hormones, right? And with my emotions. I had to think about that. And I had to have a plan for that before I got on that plane. I had to think about the cost to my family, right? My husband needing to step in to take over some of the daily duties I usually take care of, my kids having to rely on themselves for things they usually come to me for. Those things had to be thought through, considered, and I had to decide, am I okay with putting this on them right now? Also, remember, there was a cyclone the day before I left. And also remember, we moved house a week before I left. So it was a big emotional drain on my family. I had to think about the cost to my body. Being away from Tuesday to the following Wednesday, so 8 days, with jet lag, meant that I had to take 2 weeks off from my usual gym and swimming routine. There's a cost to that, and I had to be okay with that. So you see, the cost of traveling is a lot more than just the hotel and the food and the airplane. It's significant. If I didn't carefully consider that, I would potentially put myself back in a place of burnout. So it makes sense then to ask, was the return on investment worth it? And here's why. Despite the fact that I cannot at this point in time, nor will I be able to measure the ROI financially, possibly for a long time, it was 1,000% worth it for me. My goal for attending this conference was to feel less isolated. My goal was to meet other women who face the same challenges I face on a day-to-day basis that none of my friends in my real life fully understand. My goal was to talk to other women who are successful and remind myself that I am not a unicorn just because it feels like that sometimes here in my corner of Australia, where the industry is very different and where there literally are only about 5 or 10 people that I know of who really gets it. My goal was to meet people that I can interview for the podcast so you can learn from other people too, not just me. There were women at this conference who has mad skills that I cannot wait to share with you. I could never teach you what they were teaching. Now, I have to tell you, I don't love being in masterminds. Uh, so, over the past 5 years, I have increasingly become more and more isolated because I chose not to join any masterminds, especially ones that are on other continents where I end up having to attend Zoom calls at 2 a.m. in the morning. That doesn't work for me. I don't connect with people that way. I connect slowly and I connect in real life. And masterminds where you're with people for 6 months and you see them for 2 days, it doesn't work for me, right? But that has meant that I have become more and more and more isolated, to the point where I don't really have relationships with people I can invite onto the show to come and share their magic with you. And I really want that, but without joining a mastermind. I feel so inspired by the amazing women and the incredibly creative work they're all doing at such a high level. My emotional cup is really running over. And that was my goal. That is the best ROI ever. That's what I set out to achieve. And I feel like Alt Summit really gave me that gift. Not every investment in your business will show up immediately in your bank account. Sometimes the most valuable ROI comes in the form of inspiration or in connection or in a renewed energy for your work. Don't discount these intangible returns. They often lead to the biggest breakthroughs down the road. The second lesson I learned was you get to choose what kind of influencer or content creator or social media presence you create. I met so many people at this conference that has 500,000 or more followers on Instagram or TikTok. Now in my books, and I have worked with clients who have those big social media followings. I'm not impressed by it in terms of, wow, like you're so awesome. I'm impressed by it because, wow, you've been so consistent for so long and you clearly know how to connect with people, right? That's why I admire it. Um, not everybody needs to have 500,000 followers. Not everybody should have, right? So I'm not saying it's better to have that many. But if you do have that many, what it says to me is you've been doing something right for a really long time, right? And there were so many of them here, and they all have different businesses, and they all show up differently, and they all are just so wonderful and willing to share their secrets because they know it's not secrets, it's just doing it consistently, right? And there were a few things that they all had in common. They all have a very healthy understanding that who they are as humans and what they do on social media every day is not the same thing. I want you to listen to that again. These women who have 500,000 or more followers on TikTok and Instagram, what I discovered they all share is a very healthy understanding that who they are as humans and what they do on social media every day is not the same thing. Whenever there are conversations about social media, this one word always comes up. I don't know if you've noticed this, right? I wonder if you can guess the word. The word that always comes up when there are conversations about social media is authenticity, right? How many times have you heard people say you have to be authentic on your socials? That has never really sat super well with me because if I'm being fully authentic, I would choose not to make that video, right? Or my video would probably not be about marketing and ads. I would rather talk to a student or a client face to face or Zoom screen to Zoom screen about their ads or marketing than pick up my phone and film a video of me talking to my phone about ads or marketing. But I know for sure that if I want to get to those authentic conversations with clients and students, with people about the things that they care about, I've got to make that video that feels super non-authentic to me. So the pathway to authenticity comes from doing something that is really not authentic. And so many of these women at Alt Summit talked about how we should stop saying that we should create authentic content. Because raising a phone to your face, hitting record on it, creating hooks that grabs people's attention, and then posting it on a digital platform and hoping for the world to see it is a highly inauthentic thing to do. There is nothing authentic about what we do here. And we should stop telling ourselves that it is the key to success because it is not. Authentic has become this loaded word. It sounds noble, but it often sets creators up for self-doubt and burnout because it conflates vulnerability with visibility. So instead of chasing authentic, I came up with a few words that we can replace authentic with. That when I think about showing up on social media and I take away the word authentic and I use one of these words, I feel much better about it, right? So here are some possible alternatives to authentic that I'm hoping will help you shift the focus from self expression to intentional connection with the person you serve. I've got a few words. Let me give you, there's 8 of them. How about you try on deliberate? Deliberate is not authentic. Deliberate is deliberate. It implies an intentionality and care. Show up deliberately. Feels empowering, like you're the director, not just the actor. The second one is purposeful. It reminds people that this isn't just about being seen, it's about having an actual mission, purposeful content that connects. The third word is aligned. Less pressure to reveal everything, aka authentic, and more about being in sync with your values and the values of your audience. Aligned doesn't mean raw, it means true to your message, true to your values. Word number 4, strategic. For those who need a reminder that this is a business, not therapy, you're building a brand, not journaling in public. So take the authentic pressure off. You don't need to journal in public. Word number 5, intentional. Similar to deliberate, but a little bit softer. It appeals to heart-led creators, right? Intentional over impulsive. Intentional over insecure. Word number 6, credible. Sometimes what we really mean by authentic is believable. It frames your content as trustworthy and grounded. Credibility builds connection. Word number 7, connected. This is what we want. We want to be connected. And again, I'm going to say it. There's nothing authentic about social media connection. It's not authentic. It's very weird. But it sets you up for real life connections. You can't serve your audience if you're stuck in your head or stuck trying to protect your heart or your ego because someone told you you need to be authentic and you're feeling that this means that you got to share it all. Connected brings the energy outward. So instead of performing your authenticity, aim to connect. And then number 8 is helpful or valuable. It's a reminder that content is about giving, not just about being. When your content makes you start feeling like people are invading your boundaries or crossing your boundaries, you have forgotten that the purpose of it is to be helpful and valuable, not to let your boundaries down, right? This is a whole new way of looking at showing up on social media. And the words I'm choosing as I approach my social content are deliberate, aligned, and strategic. Very different from authentic. When I use those words to describe what I do when I'm about to hit record on a new reel, the energy just hits different. And if I find myself creating content that is not aligned with one of these 3 words, I ask myself, why is this bumping up against my values? And how do I bring it back to what actually does align for me? I think we all need to release ourselves from the pressure of authenticity and instead focus on being intentional about how we show up online. You're not living your life for social media. You're using social media as a tool to build a business that gives you the life you want. It's important we put those things in the right order. Lesson number 3 was take time for yourself. Did this trip create discomfort for my husband? Yes. Did it impact his ability to do his job? Yes. Did it create discomfort for my kids? Yes. Did I have to be okay with the idea that my daughter was going to miss that one hockey practice because daddy can't be there to take her at that time? Yes. Did my kids tell me they didn't want me to go? Yes. I had to explain to clients that I'd be away. I had to move around student calls to accommodate my travel schedule and my jet lag recovery. Yes, all those things. And they are all logistics and executive functioning I would rather not do. But was it worth it? Heck yes. And when I was at the conference, almost every woman I spoke to, whether they've just driven 2 hours to get there, or they've traveled from Canada, or they have flown in from New Jersey, every single one said how wonderful it is to get some time to themselves, to just focus on the thing they love to do and that fills their cups. You don't have to travel halfway around the world to take some time for yourself. You just have to book it in. Don't wait until the kids will be comfortable without you, because they never will be. Don't wait until it won't disrupt your partner's schedule or your partner's work arrangements, because it never won't. You are most likely the one bending and flexing all day, every day to meet the family's needs. I'm guessing that's one of the reasons you started this business in the first place. And for a few days, every now and then, give them the gift of bending and flexing for you. You'll teach your kids that they are more resilient than they thought they were. You'll teach your partner that they can step into your role. And if it doesn't happen the way you would like it to be done, that's okay too. Take some time for you. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Your business, your family, and your health all benefit when you prioritize your own well-being and growth. Don't put yourself last. Don't put yourself last on the list of people in your family, and don't put yourself last until you end up running on empty. Now, I want you to take action based on what we've spoken about today. If it's the non-financial ROI insight, I want you to look at one thing you're investing your energy. This is more about energy than about money. One thing you're investing your energy in your business. A conference, a course, a coach, time you're spending doing something, researching something, reading about something, time you're taking away from your business. And evaluate it, not just on potential revenue, but on what other returns it might bring. Now ask yourself, what intangible benefits might this bring to my business or to my life? If it's the releasing yourself from the pressure of authenticity thing, choose 3 alternative words from the list that I gave you that feels more aligned with how you want to show up online. Write them down and place them where you'll see them before you start creating your content. Let that word authenticity go. Just let it go. Just trash it. If it was taking time for yourself, I want you to block out half a day in the next 2 weeks. That's just for you. Put it on your calendar, communicate it to your family, and treat it as a non-negotiable. If you need to go for a massage, or you need to just go for a walk, or you just need to stay in bed and watch trashy movies, great. Do that. And as we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that building your freedom empire isn't just about creating systems and strategies. It really is about creating a life that feels good to live. Sometimes that means stepping away from your computer, getting on a plane, and connecting with other humans who understand your journey. The online world has given us an incredible opportunity to create businesses that we love, but there's something irreplaceable about showing up in person, looking someone in the eye and saying to them, I get it. Yeah, I've been there too. If you've been feeling isolated in your journey, know that you're not alone. There are communities of amazing entrepreneurs out there who understand exactly what you're going through. Maybe it's time to find your alt summit, that place where you can refill your cup and remember why you started this journey in the first place. Thank you so much for being here and for listening to today's episode. I'll see you again on Thursday. Bye. Before you go, if today's episode helped you, imagine how many more lives could be transformed if other creators, coaches, and experts found these strategies too. Your shares and reviews help more course creators discover how to get their knowledge out into the world. Please take a moment to rate the show and leave a quick review. When you do, we get to reach more people and we make a bigger impact together. Because when more people who help people succeed, the world becomes a better place. Thank you.